Hi guys, this is Robin with Weight Loss Apocalypse. This is a 15-minute clip from a 90-minute consultation that I did last week. This woman has gained and lost hundreds of pounds and is currently in a binging phase and is up to 300 and close to 350 pounds. So she reached out after 2 weeks ago, joining a weight loss group that sells workout videos and shakes and stuff, which kind of threw her back into a serious she got into it thinking, oh, I'll just lose a little bit of weight, I'm up, and it just threw her way into serious binging issues. So she finally decided, I can't do this anymore. If I continue to try to lose weight, it positions me to be binging. And she started to see more clearly what I've been trying to help people see, that even if you're 350 pounds, you have to look at the relationship you have with food that is being magnified by your shame about your body. It's magnified by the pressure to fix your body and the depression that you are positioned to be in, thinking that the body should be better than it is, without taking into account the dieting that is exacerbating the eating that goes into weight gain. So she's now seeing this more clearly, that when I go to lose weight and famine or deprivation is, struggling, or what's the word? Strangling. It feels strangling for those binge eaters who are hearing this. You're like, yeah, it feels like I can't breathe. When you feel like you have to deprive your food, that it actually magnifies the feeding behavior. So she's close to 350 pounds. And the saddest and hardest part about this is to reconcile the fact that the damage has been done. And to surrender that is excruciating, because you're left with damage. You're left with all of the physical, consequences of the extremism and radicalism in your shame about your weight, and the projection of that radicalism into your dieting. So the radical dieting is a very huge part of at least the radical intensity the person brings to the diet, right? Because not everybody who diets has this type of response. It's the person's radical shame about their weight, whether they're 150 pounds, 250 pounds, or 350 pounds. The radical shame someone brings about the body to the diet distorts the diet into also being very radical, all or nothing extremism, and the pressure feels very intense. So she's making that connection. And so this is the first 15 minutes of this consult. I'm so excited. I've had another session with her. That'll be posted later. But if you would like to be included in the full sessions that I'm doing with these clients, and there's over a year's worth of full sessions with anorexics, bulimics, exercise addicts, orthorexics, binge eaters, and the struggle. Not everybody gets it so quickly. So if you want to be have access to these full sessions, you're going to need to become a Weight Loss Apocalypse supporter and donate monthly. It's a monthly donation through Patreon. The link is below. You can join, and all the videos are there. And but if you are done suffering and would like to work with me, the link to my website's below. Fill in the consult request form. I usually get back to people within 10, 15, 20 minutes right away. And I have lots of time this week. So, all right. Well, enjoy this small part of this 90-minute consult, and I'm happy to share.
Okay. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so this is our first time talking. This is our first initial consult. How'd you find me?
YouTube first, and then I am on your Patreon, and I've read most of your book already. So.
Yeah. So what was it that made you go, I should just do it? What was it?
I just joined a group last weekend on Facebook, and it's I don't know if I should say names, but it's like a Beachbody kind of thing.
Yeah.
And when I thought, I've got this under control, and I can just use this to get the weight off, and then I've just been thrown back into a binge.
Yeah.
And I've listened to you probably, I don't know, it must be like 2 years now, and just keep putting it off and putting it off. I'm like, no, this is enough.
Well, sometimes I think people need to, when they listen to what I'm saying, it seems a little, it can seem a little extreme, or, oh, well, those people need that. Those people, the people you're listening to, it's easy to separate yourself from what they're doing and just say, but it's not for me. This is helpful. It's good to hear. But you know what? My situation, my body is so much worse. I can't just surrender it, and I can't just let this go. So there, you've been maybe listening to this for years, but it's never really maybe sunk in until you suffered enough. You had to continuously suffer to realize maybe I do need to internalize what I've been hearing in these YouTube videos.
Yeah.
It's painful, isn't it? Just terribly painful.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I have a lot of compassion. I get, when you send, well, it's because it's so bad. I mean, when I got your, consult request last night, I was just like, oh, I just felt I just felt it, because you had said, I have been binging every meal. And I just went, oh my God, I have been there. I have been there. There, at my worst, I binged every time I ate and purged every time I ate. So it was like 2 insanities occurring at one time. But the binge nonetheless is the same as what you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just doing it. Your purge is maybe not puking it up. It's the I will diet. I will diet. I will fix this. I won't eat this anymore. I'm going to get rid of it. There's this. It's almost like you're surrounded by this cloud of deprivation. It's not just, I was trying to write about this yesterday, and I'm actually still on this one paragraph figuring out how to explain this, but when someone is in a binge eater, or someone that's, gaining a significant amount of weight, to where their body is physically limited, it's hard to explain to someone who doesn't understand this, but the binge eater is surrounded by deprivation. It's almost like a cloud of restriction that you are afraid to breathe in. And so instead of breathing in the restriction or diet, you end up just shoving food in your face to distract you from the panic, complete and total panic of being deprived, because it feels so overwhelming. It feels so overwhelming. It's like going to crush you. And it's very different than the clients that I work with that are anorexic. They get the same exact feeling, but it's being fat that makes them feel that. For you, it's restriction. It's the same thing, but on the opposite side of the spectrum, right?
Yeah.
You both want the same thing, right? You're just, the binge eating side of it is you're stuck in survival mode with food, right? Whereas the anorexic is stuck in survival mode with their narcissistic superiority. They won't let it go because of the attachment to thinness that they're getting. That narcissistic supply from. So they won't let go of the narcissistic supply of thinness, and you won't let go of the animal supply of food. But you want what the anorexic has, right? Yeah. It's hard to explain this, to look at it, because the way it's been described in eating disorder research or in the past has been that they're totally different things. And I think they're the same thing. It's just, are you failing at it or are you succeeding at it?
I had an incident yesterday. I don't know if this like helps the situation, but I was going to get some lunch with my son at Chipotle, and we were walking past, and there were these two women sitting at a table out front, and they were both very, very thin. And the one was telling the other that they needed to walk to the garbage can because that was the only exercise they were going to get for the day. And I had this weird, overwhelming feeling like they probably didn't even see me. I don't know, but like they were judging me, and I actually felt like they had a right to do that because they were thinner.
Yeah, and you're saying this to me, and you know intuitively that was you being the dick. You're the asshole, right? They didn't give a shit about you. They were laughing at each other because they were expressing their laziness, and their judgment of themselves, and you were like, they think they're so much better than me. Yeah. But that's how you think. And that's how, if you look at this, if that's how you're thinking, no wonder you're having mental health problems.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. You're thinking that you're that disgusted with yourself. It's not them that were disgusted. That was you. You were projecting your disgust. Right?
Yeah.
And it's so hard because is it really you that's disgusted, or is it the culture and the cult of thin supremacy that's disgusted?
Right.
The sad thing is you just bought it. You bought it. And so you get to feel disgusted because you've internalized it as a sacred truth that is not questionable, and this is like religious indoctrination. Anybody who is brainwashed by fear of shame and the illusion of pride, this is the downside. You're clutching onto this idea that thin people are superior, and the downside is that if you are not that, you are inferior, and it sucks. It's almost like, the suffering involved in this is just so dark. And you know what's sad about it too is it's not even real. And that's another thing. Can you get a sense of none of this is real, but yet it is detrimental to the life I'm currently living in my reality. So there's this incredible impulsive, like it feels like it's hardwired, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I'm just stuck in it. Yeah. I can't break through the wall.
Right. Well, the problem is it feels like it's hardwired, and so you might not be questioning that that's true, but it's actually just like it's like a floppy disk. I'm aging myself right now by even saying floppy disk. How old are you? I don't even know.
I'm 40.
Okay. Oh my God. So you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or like whatever it is. And it's in your hard drive, and all you got to do is push eject.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's so awesome. So if you've been watching me for 2 years, you have heard enough people say, holy shit, that was easy. It was the hardest thing I've ever done, but that's it? I'm like, yeah, you push eject. That's it. So how do we do that? Well, you have to surrender what you get from that shitty ass virus infected piece of shit disk that you put into your hard drive.
Yeah.
You have to reject it. You have to say, even if someone said, I've got a nice disc that will make you thinner, you have to say, yeah, I'd rather not. Why take my entire space of consciousness and awareness and fixate it on a tiny little speck of awareness around I'm thin?
Yeah.
So you have to reject it. You have to surrender what you get out of it. And that's the hardest part, is when people push eject, they're essentially saying, I'd rather just not have what this is promising me. I don't want it anymore. I'd rather be empty. I'd rather have no wiring. I'd rather have nothing in my hard drive. Right? If you think of it this way, the only way to do that as well, it's not just to give up the illusion of that disk, the virus infected disk that is saying you'll be superior. It's that you have to accept the reality of your hard drive, right? Your reality, right? So it's the illusion of something better than you have in exchange for what you have. Getting rid of what you wanted getting rid of the illusion of something better than what you are in exchange for what you are. Does that make any sense, what I'm saying?
Yeah. I'm just trying to get it in here.
Well, don't force it. This isn't, I don't expect this to, it may or may not click for you immediately. So the reality is, okay, so if I were to guide you through where you need, let's go this way first. What do you want? What are you looking for? Are you looking for thinness? Are you looking for weight loss? Are you looking for relief?
I'm looking for relief, and then at the same time I have these like ridiculous visions of, I'm gonna feel better, and then I'm gonna stop binge eating, and then my body is gonna fix itself, and I'm gonna be thin. So what in the world? It's like a hamster wheel.
Well, I think, let's go into that thought process and question if it's true.
Yeah.
Question if that's even logical or true for you to get. Is that even realistic or possible? Because what you're saying is, I want relief and then I'll get what I want.
Yeah.
Right? Because you have a wanting for that thinnerness, don't you?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the wanting for that, you're thinking, the way that, and you're so normal, by the way. So many people come to me thinking, okay, I have this insanity with food. It's the food and I got to do this. I'm sick of my weight. It's horrible, blah, blah, blah. And you think that once we fix your issues with food, that then you'll lose the weight and everything's going to be like a win-win. I'm going to get to be thin and superior and not have any consequences for the narcissism. Yeah. So let's go in and look at this. I truly believe by the time someone reaches out to me, there's enough suffering and misery that you have the wisdom to actually know what's going to happen. If you hold on to the wanting for thinnerness, it doesn't even matter how big you are. That does not matter. Right? I don't even know what your weight is. All I know is whatever it is, you're unhappy with it. Whether you're 150 pounds, you're unhappy with it. Or 200 pounds, you're unhappy with it. Or 250 pounds, you're unhappy with it. And when you were 200 pounds, you were unhappy with that. And when you went down to 150, you were unhappy. So that's all we need to know is you were deprived and it was all relative, and you constantly live in a state of relative deprivation. No matter what size and weight you are, you're constantly in a position of hatred of your body, period.
Exactly.
Okay, so with that said, if you hold on to the wanting of thinnerness and everything that you've got attached to it, what will happen if you control your food? What will happen when you start to lose weight and lose the weight? What will happen?
Well,
as you lose weight, as it happens. Let's just go into what's going to happen as it happens.
As it happens, okay, so I start feeling like I'm superior, really. Last week when I started that group and started exercising, I felt like I was walking around like a better person because I was doing that.
Yeah, that's the narcissism, yes.
Oh my gosh. And then this is just even a small little time, this 1 week, where it just went back to a full-on binge again.
Yeah. Okay. So,
wow.
Yeah. So what happens if we want to take yourself out and just watch this, observe it, let's witness it. So as a student, just as a student of this, so there's no forcefulness. I'm not trying to get you convinced of anything. Let's just look at the from the student's perspective as the witness of it. If you hold on to a want for thinnerness, and let's just say we get you to eat to hunger, and you're eating freely without shame and guilt, blah, blah, blah. If you want the thinnerness, as your body loses weight, because of the wanting of that, the weight loss becomes really gratifying, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To that narcissism, it becomes a supply of superiority. What happens when that feeling arises to your perspective of food? As you are losing weight, what happens to your relationship with food?
I start getting scared of it.
Oh, Yes, right? Because
Yeah.
it becomes a potential threat to your narcissistic supply. Food now is bad. So,
Wow.
yeah. So that narcissism is very insecure,
Wow.
you
Yeah.
know? So it's constantly looking for, it becomes paranoid. Narcissists are paranoid, constantly trying to position themselves in defense of what they think they need to feel superior, inflated. It's such an inflated idea of your value